Hey everyone. Welcome. Welcome to your monthly setup. It is the monthly setup. It's Jennifer Ogilvy on the call again. It's really good to see you. I've switched locations. I left Garland, Texas, and I'm in Central Texas now at our cabin. So I've been on the road, but I couldn't wait to get here and get plugged in so I could be with you again because there's lots of us who started our day together this morning with our weekly setup, and now we're going to end our day together with our monthly setup. My co facilitator on the call, the fabulous Katie Gideon, will be hanging out in the chat with you. Hopping on to give you a little wave, and she will be kind of hanging out in the chat, sharing links, answering questions as best she can, or pointing you in the right direction to get the answers to those questions. So, yeah, I like double header. I did say we're repeat offenders. But I think I like double header. That's yeah. So you have a double header today, and actually, I'm looking. What is tomorrow? Tomorrow's Sunday. I am online tomorrow evening. Yeah, I think I'm. I don't know. I think it's a weekly tomorrow at evening, and then Maya's doing a monthly in the morning. So. We're all over the place today. Anyway, it's really good to see y'all again. Now, I know Sarah said she was here for the first time. Is there anybody else who's here for the first time? We've got this great community. We want to give you a big welcome, and folks come a lot and they get to know each other. And I always say we are virtual, but man, this is one of the best communities in my life personally. So, welcome, Megan. We're glad that you're here. We hope you make these monthly setups a habit, and also that you will start trying to attend the weekly setups. And you come enough, you get to know all the people that you see in the chat there. You may be watching this as a replay on our YouTube channel. Katie will be sharing that link during the social tonight. We have over 1,100 socials on our YouTube channel. So if you're not ever able to make something in person, you can always go and watch a replay. So if you're watching this on replay, hello from me and the rest of the Sonder family. We hope you can join us live next time. So make sure that chat is set to everyone. We share, we support. When we have our minds get a little blocked, we just throw it out there in the chat, and our wonderful community will help us out. Maybe figure out, give us the words we're searching for. March is a really cool month because it is International Women's History Month, and in honor of that, Meha and I'll get to be with her. We're going to do an exclusive celebrating the women who shaped us. And so I'm really, really looking forward to that exclusive. I know that we've shared lots of stuff in the past in the chats about those people that are important to us in our life, but that social is going to be really honed in on those folks who shaped us. So I hope that you'll be able to make it. It'll be a pretty special evening. Here are the community guidelines, and we share this when we're together. As you know, we create safe spaces. So if you are here for the first time, you will see these community guidelines every time you log on for a social. And we always like to point out number 7. The Sonder socials are tools to help elevate your emotional health through the power of community, but you're responsible for your own emotions, well-being, and decisions. Now, I kind of call this a productivity social because we're setting up for the month and we're really thinking about what we want March to bring us. But sometimes we have socials where we do those deep digs into the journal prompts, and they're excellent. But sometimes the timing doesn't right and our mindset is not ready for that info. So if you're ever attending a social and things feel a little tough, give yourself permission to, maybe watch, take notes, and then dig in when you're in a better frame of mind, because we do always want to take good care of ourselves. That's what our journey is all about. All righty. So, new month, new us. We have so far this year explored the theme of alignment, which fed beautifully into this past month about looking at our system of beliefs. What makes us us? What do we believe in? What do we stand for? What is our North Star? And now that we have all that information, we're going to move into what does change look like for us in our life. Brandy, welcome. You've been here, you've been with Silk and Sonder for a couple of years, but a handful of socials. So we're so glad that you're joining us tonight. Again, I hope you guys all make this, make it a priority to attend these events live because the chat will just make you, when I feel disconnected to the world or disappointed in the world, I come hang out and these live chats just like lift me up. So my quote that I found that I think I'm going to kind of latch on to for the month is, "I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples." And I love Mother Teresa. I mean, who doesn't love Mother Teresa? Such a beautiful, beautiful soul. Highly recommend reading, about her. She is a pretty amazing gal. And what I love about this is it kind of reminds us that sometimes we feel little in this big old world, but our little actions, our changes can affect so much more than we could ever know about. So that's what I love. Oh, Andrea, a women's museum in Oklahoma. Pretty cool. All right, we need to maybe check that out. So let's get going. I love to start with page 2 every month because it is the letter from our founder, Meha. And she will always write to you about like, here's what's going on in my life and why I'm embracing this particular theme this month. And it gives us that little bit of insight. I pulled out a few words that popped out for me. You might sit with a highlighter and highlight your letter. Um, Something that, here's the things that sort of hit some of the most meaningful shifts in my life are the ones I resisted first. And I had shared this morning that yesterday I was hanging out with one of my best friends and I was telling her, that this month is the month of change for my Silk and Sonder work. And she said, change is a good one. And she said, change is hard. And it can be good change, which can be hard, and it can be tough change, which can be hard. And I was like, you're so right. So, sometimes we resist change and then we look back and go, why did I make that so hard on myself? It wasn't as bad as I thought. Transformation doesn't mean abandoning yourself. It means returning to the parts that were always meant to lead. And then change doesn't always need to be loud to be life altering. Sometimes it's quiet decision, ease, and trust. So those are the words that jumped out for me. I invite you to take a few minutes to look at Meha's letter and maybe pull out the things that speak to your soul. Tonight, we're going to kick off with our acrostic poem. This has become a tradition. We do this opening activity, and the purpose of this is to sort of embrace the new theme with, this little activity that'll get us thinking and moving into the new theme. Then we'll spend time with our reflections from the past month. We'll work on our March intentions, and then we'll set up the mood tracker and that habit tracker. And so, those of you who are Team Circle Habit Tracker, I know you're so happy to see this circle back. That's this month. All righty. So we're going to start with the acrostic poem. Now, sometimes in our journals, we have a page printed for the acrostic poem. It usually shows up like once a quarter, once every four months, 3 months. We don't have that this month. So I'm going to invite you to find a space in your journal. I'll show you mine. I actually used the index page again for my acrostic poem and just start thinking about what change brings about when you think about what does it kind of what does it mean to you, and we're going to get creative. Writing poetry really helps us use parts of our brain, just like when we doodle and draw, we tap into a different part when we're being creative. So I've got options for this as well if you're not feeling an acrostic poem. So, fortunately, last night some folks posted their poem from the monthly setup. So we've got three examples there, kind of in the diagonal. That was from last night's setup from our community. And then mine is the little one over there on the bottom right. And I kind of just embrace, I'm always trying to embrace this second half of my life. And it's actually probably less than half now. Through the themes because that's the work I've tried to do. So I just kind of wrote a little paragraph, but you can see my changes written down the side there. Can I really be here? The second chapter. Amazed at its arrival, newfound opportunities for growth and vitality, aging and embracing new beginnings and endings with joy and gratitude. So I kind of did a paragraph this month, but you could also just do one word like you see the one in the middle there, or you could do sentences. And then here are some examples that Maya pulled together for us to look at. And of course, there's our little butterfly change from, the little caterpillar to its beautiful self. That was one of the reasons I chose She's a Butterfly for our opening number. There's nothing that says change, more like the life of a butterfly. And then there's a group of synonyms over there. So maybe that will inspire your poem. And also, I'll go back through these while you're working on this. You don't have to do the change poem. If you want to embrace March in a different way, maybe you do an acrostic using the month of March. Or if something special like your birthday or someone's birthday is this month, maybe you'll welcome in March by writing a poem about that person or about your birthday. Or maybe you use your name and you just write an acrostic about yourself. Other options, if you've already gone to a monthly setup and you want to do something a little different, I encourage you to maybe write a note to February and say goodbye to it and hello to March. And so there's my example right there on the scratch pad. Additionally, you could write a haiku and look right below, the little graphic that tells you how to write a haiku. Right below that is a haiku. And the person who wrote this says, I have not written a haiku in years. And that was how they embraced our new theme. Um, and one other activity you could do is you could go to page 3 where our definition box is, and you could start working on your definition of change. Mine is there. I put 5 words: willingness, flexibility, excitement, courage, open mind. Those are the things that kind of mean change to me. And then I wrote the serenity prayer. I do the Al Anon program as a family member of alcoholics. And so that serenity prayer is like that's the first thing that popped in my mind when I thought of change. So lots of ways to kind of embrace a new month and a new theme. I'll go back through these slides. I'm going to put on some music while you get creative, and feel free to share in the chat how you're going to welcome in this brand new month. Alrighty. Thank you for kind of starting this dig into a new month. And you know, you don't have to just do the acrostic. Like you can play around and do some of these other activities as well. And if, let me see, I can't remember who wrote about February just didn't go so well. That happens from time to time. It's okay. Give yourself permission. I was telling Katie at the front end of when we always get together prior to the event and go through, all the things that we're doing. And I was telling her I am so good about, full going full force the front end of the month. And then I usually find myself slipping off a little bit. And then, a new month comes, new start. Well, last month I was on vacation for the front of the month. And so my February journal also doesn't look so great. It's not filled up. But I will tell you what is beautiful is that you will always have access to the Silk and Sonder socials. There's a search bar in you on the YouTube channel, and you can always go back and look for old themes and grab your old journals. And if there's a couple of things that are undone, go do them. There's not an expiration date on these journals, so keep that in mind too. It's you've left an opportunity for a future for the future you if you don't do something right there. So anyway, yeah, facilitator journal problems. Oh, goodness. But I also, y'all know I talk a lot about your empty spaces are also part of your journey. And so just because something's not there doesn't mean it doesn't tell you a story about what's going on in life. And I can when I see those empty spaces, I know, well, I always do start off full force with a lot of enthusiasm and then things kind of tamp down, and maybe it's a little bit of who I am about, like, yeah, let's do it. And then it's like, what have I gotten myself into? Because I get overwhelmed. So that kind of is revealing. It tells a little bit about who I am. Anyway, thank you for working on this opening activity. And now let's get into our March journal, shall we? We're going to begin with those February reflections that you will find on page 8. And I am going to divide this up into two sections. So, right now, we're just going to review February. Don't worry about the space at the bottom of the page, the start, stop, and continue box. Let's just look over February and celebrate all those wonderful things that the month brought your way, those wins, the things that you're proud of. Think about the good times you had, maybe people that you interfaced with that just brought you so much joy. Did you accomplish something that you had been putting off? Did you get a to-do list done? And then we're going to look at the things that were a little challenging for the month because we know life is, full of balance. And just when we think things are great, before we know it, we're issued some challenges. So let's go back and find those things that might have been stumbling blocks. I always said it's really frustrating when the stumbling blocks are people. Maybe you need to write about that, get frustration out on the page. Maybe there are things that are out of your control. And so we're going to put those in our challenges and then think about your favorite moments. What did you stop to take pictures of? Go look at your camera on your phone and see, what caught your eye and brought you a little glimmer, or who did you spend time with? Go look at your calendar. What were your commitments for the month? Also, if you've been with us, you could grab February's journal and take a look at your rosebud thorn reflections, and those will really inform this page. So we're going to put on some music while you explore what February brought to you. Feel free to share in the chat, especially if you just need a little support and you want to put it out in the universe. Drop that there. And then we'll come back in and work on that bottom part of the page separately before we set up the rest of our month. You may still be working on your reflections from February. I want to go ahead and take just a moment to drop down to the bottom of the page, and then I'll put on some more music so you can finish up those reflections and consider your start, stop, and continue spaces. So I love, love, love this part of the page because I feel like these boxes really become this compass point for us for the rest of the month. This space can inform how we set up our intentions, and this space can also inform the kinds of goals and to-dos that we want to set for every, each week as we go through the month. So as we look at this space, the things that we want to start are the things that aren't being done that you want to do. Maybe it's a restart. Maybe there was something you were really good at and you were being very loyal to, and then you kind of got off the rhythm and routine of it. So perhaps this box becomes a restart space for you. So think about those things in your life that are valuable and that, really guide you to be the best version of yourself that you want to start. And then conversely, are there some things going on that you need to stop? Yesterday, we had a huge conversation about the social media, and it just eats up our time, and especially when we start going down the negative rabbit holes. And so there was a lot of talking about how there are things that we can put boundaries that we can put into place to stop that mindless scrolling or figuring out, what is the substitute activities that you can go to. So, what are the things in your life that are not working, that are not bringing value to your day in and day out? You're not getting the results you want. Put those things in your stop area, and then the continue. Be proud of what you are doing and what you are seeing, that the stuff that is working well, even if it's very small. It could be as small as I have brushed my teeth every morning. If you used to forget to do that, celebrate those things and put that in your continue box. Now, I also think it's really neat. There's a couple of ways to set this up. One thing you can see, the little box over there on the right. I think if you want to perhaps think of an area of your life, especially if something is consuming you right now. So, Denise shared that one of the really hard things this past month was that she lost her best friend. So that is probably top of mind for everything while you're moving through your days. And so maybe you consider how you are processing that through what you want to start doing, stop doing, and continue doing. You're facing a clean out of a hoarder's house, Denise. That must feel overwhelming. So you can take that topic that's overwhelming in your life and put that topic as kind of the guide to filling out this space. And I've got lots of different things, suggestions over there. Relationships. Is there a relationship you really want to focus on? Or something like your health, wellness, nutrition, rest. Maybe just take rest and let your start, stop, and continue box be informed by the idea of what rest looks like for you. Maybe that's the thing you're going to change this month. Maybe whatever you're going to really focus on as far as I need to change this, that becomes the topic of this space. So I find that very helpful. If there is like just one thing that is really occupying your soul and your mind. Another thing that I think is also helpful is to ask yourself three questions for each space. So, in your start spot, you can see the example down there at the bottom. This person is saying, "What is it? What do I need to start?" And she's written, "Get into a regular morning routine." And then she's asked herself, why? Why is this important? So that she's really understanding why she's landing here. And she says, better mornings to start each day. And then the third question is how? How am I going to make that happen? And so, kind of starting like I'm going to set up a specific routine in order. And so that routine then may show up in her weekly setup. And then she'll keep track of all that routine stuff. So I think those are really beautiful ways to set this up. And then we also have a repurpose suggestion So these three boxes, you may want to use this little model of checking in with yourself. It's from the Silk and Sonder Instagram account. So be sure you're following them on social media. That's a good kind of social media. But each box is labeled, I feel this because of this, and I need or I want to feel this way. And so this person, I feel tired and heavy. My sleep hygiene is off because my sleep hygiene is off, and I need a purposeful routine I can stick to. And so, with that in mind, then that can inform maybe what the intentions are for the month. And then she can put this into play into her weekly setup, setting goals, setting habits, setting routines. So, let me put on some more music while you complete this page and kind of share the things that might be coming up for you. Okay, good work, everybody. Like I said, I think this is a pretty important part of our setup. And sometimes we forget to go back to this page and take a look at it. So maybe you can think about checking back in with the start, stop, and continue. I always try to remind folks at the weekly setups, like maybe go look at that and see how you're doing. When I first started using this journal, I'd spend time on these pages and then I'd forget to flip back after after I'd set them up. All righty. So now it's time to set up those intentions for the month. So that will be found on page 9. It's next door neighbor. And point out there are 6 categories on this page. A reminder, you don't have to do 6 intentions for the month. If you're feeling a little overwhelmed right now, maybe 3 or 4 intentions are what you need to set up, and then leave a couple of spaces blank, maybe for a quote, maybe for some encouragement, maybe as a place to check in with your intentions. And always feel free to rename the intentions to better fit your life because sometimes these categories don't fit in. Now, I shared this last night because I know sometimes intentions feel a little strange. Like you're not supposed to make a to-do, the instructions say it's not a to-do list, but how do you not make it a to-do list when that's what you're wanting to do? And I think this graphic is really, really helpful. Intentions help to manifest goals. And so this chart says, an intention is like the energy that you put in at the very start of something, and it kind of defines how you want to feel. It's more about your feelings, whereas a goal gives you those results you're looking for, and it's what you want to accomplish. So versus what you want to feel. An intention is about right now. What are you thinking? It's very short term, whereas goals are for the future projections. So these intentions will inform the goals you set. The priority around intentions are that you are really focusing on the emotions that you're feeling about stuff and focusing on the relationship that you have with yourself. So this really is all about the feelies, the feels. And when we look at goals, those priorities are results and they're very external, right? It's the results that we see. The scope of intentions are very broad, very vague, whereas goals are narrow and focused. And the example given here is I want to feel more focused as an intention. And then the goal with that would be here's how it's going to happen. I'm going to meditate 4 times for 20 minutes every single week. So you see it got broken down into that goal. Intentions are much more about how you want to feel and less about what you want to accomplish. All righty. So we've got this great page, and here are some March fun facts. It's, like I said, it's International Women's Month, History Month, National Women's Month, Irish American Heritage Month, National Reading Awareness Month. And we've got like Read Across America and Dr. Seuss's birthday. And then it's Multiple Sclerosis Awareness Month. And I also think it's Cerebral Palsy Month. I know somebody mentioned that at yesterday's setup. And so if you can verify that I got that correct, I would appreciate that. Drop that in the chat. And then we've got, St. Patrick's Day, and I'm going to just do a shout out right now. If you are a March birthday gal, drop a me in the chat right now so we can wish you a happy birthday. Oh, and Andrea, you've got your daughter and her boyfriend. 21st and 20th. That's kind of fun. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And epilepsy day. All right. So look at all our March gals. I love that. My baby brother that I'm 13 years older with, he was born on March 4th. I always say March 4th, the only day that gives a command. Um, we've got some tips and tricks for this page. You can use post-it notes like the example you see there. If you're kind of not sure where to land and you want to jump into setting up a week and kind of make those two meld together, use post-it notes. You can use this idea of change for each one of these categories as you write your intention. Focus on an area like self-love or self-talk. That stop, start, and continue box may help you find that one area. And then there's lots of other ways to set these up. So let's take a look at some examples from y'all from our community. Here is an example of someone who did 4 intentions. They're doing spiritual health, personal life, physical health, key relationships. And those bottom 2 spaces are now going to be a quote for the month and a verse for the month, a scripture verse. And there are a lot of different ways that you can rename this to work better in your life. So here are some of the things. There's a whole list of things that I've seen y'all like. I'm not going to do professional development. I'm going to do adventure, or I'm not going to do home management. I'm going to use garden management. So lots of sub ways you can sub out these intention topics. And I'll go back through these while you're working on the pages. And this is being recorded, so you'll be able to access it if you miss something. I always love the idea of duality. So more of something and less of something, embrace something, release something, just that ebb and flow. So there's an example of a more and less for each one of the categories, but you notice that their money management space has been covered over and they've just put create. So they're going to just have that creative flow for part of their intention. A single word that talk about just how are you feeling? That's a quick way to do it. Don't get too bogged down in what goes there. A quote that captures how you want to feel. You can see those examples there. Here's the one on the upper left is song titles and lyrics, plus a little I want statement. I want to believe again. I want to be happy with myself. So again, focusing more on how I want to feel. And then I had to throw this one in the middle in because, come on, pots of gold, rainbows, March, each one of their intentions, peace, happiness, health, love, satisfaction, and confidence. That's how they want to feel. And then they've also added some little extras in there, like how are they going to do that? So for peace, they want to go to church 2 times in the month. They want to have gratitude and positivity exercises. They want to do deep breathing, sing praise, and pray. And so those things in the rainbow may show up in the weekly planner or on habit trackers. I know it is so cute, isn't it, Ann? I had to bring it back. So that's just a fun little inspiration. And anytime you can do a little doodle, remember you're making your brain happy. And then there's some simple statements over there. This is the word of the year for this person is embrace. That is their word of the year. And so, through all of these areas, they are going to embrace something. And you can see they've added mental to the spiritual health. So, mental and spiritual health. Money management has been turned into brain health. So, embracing learning and being creative. And then their home and garden has replaced professional goals. And then they've put a little creative and personal life up there. So, really making it their own. Let's work on our intentions. Share in the chat what you'll be doing. And if you need any help, kind of like, here's what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure how to put it into words, drop it in the chat because this community is full of great ideas. right. Good work on that intention page. And again, I want to make sure that you put in a plan to check in with these from time to time. See how you're doing. See if you need to change anything up. Mid-month, something may come your way and you need to change one of these areas. Give yourself permission to do that. There's nothing wrong with changing to meet what's going on in your world. So now let's look at pages 10 and 11, which are those two beautiful trackers that we set up each month. We have this mood tracker, which is great because it can really help us see trends in our life if we choose to use it for tracking our moods. Now, this tracker can also be repurposed. I don't use this one as a mood tracker. But when we can see those things that are going on, maybe we'll notice some trends and we can then put some changes into place to make our moods a little more stable, make us feel a little happier. So as I was saying, we've got our round tracker this month. Sometimes it's that hexagon space. If you're using a mood tracker for the very first time, choose like two or three negative feelings, one kind of neutral feeling, and then a couple of positive feelings. And then maybe as you use it more often, you'll go deeper into some of the feelings. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Maybe you want to see what you can change this month. Perhaps you fill in every emotion that comes in, or you just do a check-in. Maybe you do an evening check-in and do an overall, I felt this way today. You can use stickers, doodles, lots of different ways to do it. Now, this is our feelings wheel. And so those six basic feelings there in the middle, they're also written in the big words around it, are a really great place to land if you're not, if you haven't done this before. Those are pretty easy moods to track. But if you are noticing, gosh, I feel so like angry and sad a lot of the time. Maybe job is just terrible right now. You may want to just kind of hone into things that fall in that maybe like the sadness and the anger spaces and really get pinpointed into how you're feeling. So, like under anger, are agitated and resentful, those envy, exasperated. You could really just like hone in and then look at what's causing that. I'm going to go back to this so that you can take a look at when we're setting up. But here's how some folks have set up their mood tracker as mood trackers. And I love the one at the bottom. They're going to do a check in the morning. I woke up feeling this way and I went to bed feeling this way. So each space will have two moods for that predominant feeling at that time of day. And Andrea, you're so right. Anger can cover up a lot of other feelings, or it comes up because of a lot of other feelings. You can see the one over there on the right, someone it has put like they're tracking joy, but then in the middle they've added this piece of paper from the mood tracker and they're writing, okay, if I feel pleased, satisfied, amused, content, happy, optimistic, I'm going to call that joy. And so they're really focusing in on that. And then we repurpose this tracker in a lot of ways. And you may even end up making a copy or two of this tracker because it is a good tracker for all kinds of things like depression levels, your energy level, maybe rating your day on a scale of 1 to 6. You're feeling certain ways. Let's look at some examples. Here's somebody, this tracker, the mood tracker, you can see they're tracking their feelings, but one of the things they're tracking is they feel tired or drained, and so they're getting little scribbles in those spaces, and then notice how they have written the days of the week on the inside of the wheel, so they can also track. I think that's important to highlight your days that might be different from your regular days, so work days versus off days. Make sure you draw draw around it or put a star or write in like this person did. So they could kind of know, oh, well, on the weekends, things look a lot different than on the weekdays. Um, the one over there on the upper right, we are tracking at midday, we're doing a check-in, and then at night, we're checking for calm and anxiety. And then this idea of checking those intentions. So you just set those intentions, and this person is going to use this tracker as an intention tracker. And so when they have leaned into mental and spiritual health, they're going to give themselves that little tan mark. If they did creative and personal development stuff, they're going to give themselves a blue mark. So, making sure that they're holding themselves accountable to the intention that they set. There's an old book tracker of mine. That's usually how I use this tracker. I just track the things that I'm reading. I don't track page numbers or how many minutes I read. We've got a mood boost tracker. So there's a whole bunch of things to do if you're feeling a little down in the dumps. Go eat a fruit or vegetable, go for a ride, go walk, put on worship music, do have a little fellowship. The physical care tracker, move, stretch, shower, sleep, do a check in. Activities, journal, craft, family time, rest. So you can do an activity tracker. If you are a gardener or a farmer, here is a repurposed mood tracker that actually says moon tracker. They are tracking the cycle of the moon, and then they are writing in their tasks for planting and working in the garden, which I love. Social media tracker, if you're trying to pay attention to that, like how much time am I actually spending? You could track here, like this person's going to do less than 30 minutes, 30 minutes to an hour to and a half, all the way up to 2 to 5 plus hours. And that'll give you this visual piece of data about that. And then we've got a business tracker. So maybe you use this tracker at your desk for tasks that need to happen. Yeah, so let's do the mood tracker. Y'all share, what are you going to be tracking? Do you have moods? Do you repurpose? If you repurpose, how do you repurpose? What have you noticed from using this tracker? Just all the things, share in the chat. I'm loving the conversation that I'm seeing in the chat about how folks who are working with their diabetic body, how they're using this tracker. for all of the diabetic things that you need to track your blood sugars and that kind of thing. Thank you for sharing that. And I love that you're finding each other in this chat. It's so nice to know oh, me too, right? That's always great when we see that. Now we're going to move on to our last tracker that we'll be setting up this evening. We've got a few more minutes left in our social. This one always lasts an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to do my favorite tracker, which is the monthly habit tracker. This is a great place. I love this. Go look at that start, stop, and continue box again. Are there things from that space that can inform the habits that you set up for yourself this month? See how you can work that into this beautiful tracker. This tracker is kind of set up for the things we want to happen most days of the month. Now, I love this. Here's another intention tracker. This person said, I selected my intentions, and I apologize that it's a little bit blurry. When I blew it up, it kind of got grainy. But they selected their intentions and then they selected habits to support those intentions. So, for example, physical health was they wanted to walk, I think it says 153 miles for the month. They have now put that as number one on their habit tracker, walk 5 miles a day. So they're going to hold their accountability to the way they wanted to feel through the habits that they developed. Oh, I love that Christy is sharing that she's created a scale um, from 7 all the way down to 1. I love that. That's very helpful. So take a look at that. Perhaps there's a way you can use that in your tracking. You can use our theme for the month to set this up. Pick a theme again, were there some things you wanted to start, stop, and continue? Is there a relationship that you're working on? What does that look like if this whole tracker is set up around that relationship that you're investing in? What does this tracker look like if the whole thing is about your professional work? So you can kind of make this topical if that's working for you. We always say find a balance of habits that you know you're going to do, and then, maybe the ones that might be a little trickier, and give yourself a lot of grace because easy habits usually take, about a month to sort of hardwire, but really hard habits and to stick with it. And if it's a big, big, hard habit, it can take up to 6 months before your brain has hardwired it as part of who you are. So always be gentle with yourself when you're looking at this habit tracker. Here are some examples from our Sonder community. A reminder, there's 7 spaces, but you don't have to use all 7 spaces. The example there on the left has done 3, and then they put a fun you know, little doodle through the middle, and then 3 more. We've got this habit tracker over here from last year. It's almost completed. You can see that they're filling it in with all these shapes. They're kind of creating this beautiful mandala. I use black check marks, so no pressure to make it beautiful. And right, Christy, I am so with you. It is so beautiful. I don't think I have the patience. I'm just glad that I'm checking in with my little black mark. Here's another kind of St. Patrick's Day inspired tracker. You can see that they took a trip to Hawaii, and those days are marked off so that they know this was my Hawaii day. And then they had another couple of shower days. They were, travel days with a baby shower, the 14th, 15th, 16th. They've kind of highlighted that. And a lot of folks will do that with your weekends too, because sometimes, maybe you give yourself the weekends off. You have habits for your Monday through Friday, and then you take off Saturday and Sunday. That's okay. It's like you do you. Here's an example over on the right of just tracking 4 things. Some more. This is a new one from Sonder Club. Somebody just posted this that they are sharing their repurpose habit tracker. They've been trying to add more veggies to their diet. So they're going to track veggie servings each day using stickers to make it more fun. And then they're just going to, on tomorrow, on March 1st, if they had 1 serving, they're going to color in 1 box. If they had 7 servings, 7 boxes get colored in. So this is how they'll be tracking that thing that's very important to them that they're trying to work on. So that's a really great idea. That's a very focused, topical habit tracker. And then we've got the celebration tracker. I celebrate my body when and there's all the good things that you're doing for yourself. And then there's some habit tracker ideas. So let's put on some music and get this tracker set up and let us know, what are you tracking here? What are your habits? How many are you tracking? Are you doing a very topical, vegetable tracker, or is it going to contain a lot of stuff? We want to know about the whole thing. So let us know what you'll be doing. Be so proud of yourself for showing up, for carving out this time for you and your journals to start March off on a strong foot. We've got lots of hopes and dreams about this upcoming month. We may end up not getting all the things we want, but we're gonna be flexible and open to change as things move on. We'd love to see your setup in our Sonder Club. So share that, share how you're setting things up for the month. And just a little shout out to personalized coaching there. And I'm going to end with, I think, the song that's going to be on repeat for me this month. So sit and jam for a few minutes, and then we will see you soon, Sonder family. Welcome to March.